Hi friends, welcome to my channel. So today we will understand what are options in a simplified way. We have already discussed derivatives and futures contract. If you haven't watched that video, I request you to watch that video first before learning about the options. So to brief about the futures contract, in a futures contract, the buyer has the obligation to buy from the seller at the price they agreed upon in the contract. This will happen at a future date. Coming to the options, an option is a contract that gives the buyer the right but not the obligation to buy or sell an underlying asset at the specified price in a future date. This means that the buyer has the option whether to buy or not from the seller at a future date. We can understand this by taking a simple example. Consider the same example as that of the farmer and the businessman. The farmer wants to sell his wheat in 3 months' time at a price of 20 rupees per kilo, and the businessman agrees to this contract. So if this contract was a futures contract, then if the wheat prices were at 15 rupees after 3 months, the businessman, as per the futures contract, had to buy the wheat from the farmer at 20 rupees itself. So the businessman had to incur a loss of 5 rupees per kilo. Consider that the businessman and the wheat farmer came into an options contract. In the options contract, there is a small difference from the futures contract. Here, the businessman has to give a token amount or a premium amount, which is a small percentage of the total amount of the wheat. Let us say that the premium or the token amount is just 2 rupees per kilo. And they agreed that this amount is not refundable. So after 3 months, 3 scenarios could happen. Scenario 1, if the wheat price is 20 rupees itself, then in the futures contract case, there was no loss, no profit for the businessman. But in the options contract, as the businessman has already paid 2 rupees premium amount, the loss for the businessman would be 2 rupees. But here the businessman has the option whether to buy it from this farmer or not. So if he buys from this farmer or not, his loss will be 2 rupees per kilo in this scenario. So in the scenario 2, if the wheat price is 15 rupees per kilo in the market, then in the futures contract, the businessman's loss would be 20 rupees minus 15 rupees, which is 5 rupees per kilo. But in an options contract, his loss is 20 rupees minus 5 rupees plus the premium paid, which is 2 rupees. That is, his total loss for 1 kilo will be 5 plus 2, which is 7 rupees per kilo. But as he is in an options contract, the businessman will not buy the wheat from the farmer, and so his loss will be the premium he paid, which is 2 rupees per kilo. Coming to the scenario 3, if the wheat prices goes to 30 rupees, then in futures contract the businessman's profit will be 30 rupees minus 20 rupees, which is 10 rupees per kilo. In options contract, his profit will be 30 rupees minus 20 rupees minus the premium paid, which is amounting to 8 rupees profit per kilo. So basically we can say that in an options contract, the buyer's maximum risk is a premium amount he paid. Hope you got some basics on how the options contract works. So even the same scenario happens when buying a flat. We usually give a small token amount to the builder for booking the flat. And if we decide not to go ahead and buy the flat in the future, we might lose the token amount, but we still have the option not to buy the flat. So the only difference here is, if we are going to buy the flat, then the builder will reduce the token amount from the total price. But in an options contract, the premium or the token amount paid will not be refunded. In the stock market, this works in a similar way. But just that it has more options than the above examples. So options are basically another kind of derivative from an underlying asset like stocks, indices, etc. There are 2 kinds of options, put options and call options. And in each of the options, we can either be a seller or a buyer. So in options, there are 4 scenarios. Like we can either be a buyer of a call option, buyer of a put option, seller of a call option, and seller of a put option. If you compare this with a futures contract, in futures, you could either sell or buy the futures. In options also, we can sell and buy options, just that there are more options here to sell and buy. Introduce about what is call and what is put Basically, a call price increases when the underlying goes up. Likewise, the put prices increases when the underlying goes down. That means if we take the Reliance example, the call prices of Reliance will go up if the Reliance prices go up, and put prices will go up if the Reliance prices comes down. We will understand this clearly in the next few minutes. Current Reliance share price is 2,387.90 rupees. Let us say that as per our analysis, you feel that by March end, the Reliance shares might go down. So to monetize this, you can sell a Reliance futures contract which will expire on the March end. So to sell one lot of Reliance futures contract, there will be 250 shares of Reliance and we need to have more than 1 lakh rupees as a margin money. So this is the only way in futures contract to monetize a downward move. But in options, we have different options to monetize the same in a lesser margin money. Here, either you can buy the put options of Reliance or you can sell the call options of the Reliance. Because when the prices comes down, the put option increases and the call option decreases in price. For that, let us see what an option chain is. To check the various put option and call options available for the Reliance, we will use the option chain. Here, if you see the option chain chart, the left side of the diagram shows the call option and the right side shows the put option. In the middle column are the strikes. These are the various prices of Reliance available. Now, as you know, the Reliance current price is at 2,387. The strike which is nearest to this price, that is 2,400, is called the spot price. The strikes above and below these prices are called the strike prices. If we check the call option side, some of the strikes are highlighted in yellow and some are in white. The yellow highlighted colors are called in the money options. The spot price, which is 240 rupees, is called as at the money call options. And the price above 2,400 are called as out of the money call options. On the right side, for the put options, same rule applies. Yellow highlighted are in the money put options. 2,500 is at the money puts and less than 2,500 prices are out of the money puts. So coming back to the example of the Reliance. You feel as per your technical analysis by March end, the Reliance prices will come down to 2,300 rupees. So to monetize this, we can buy a put option. Let us say we bought a put option for the strike at 2,300. The buy price of the put option strike at 2,300 is about 19.7 rupees for one option. Like futures, we can buy options also only in lots. Here for Reliance, one lot is 250 shares. So to buy this, we need to pay 19.7 into 250, which is 4,925 rupees, which is the premium amount we give to the seller. The seller will get this premium amount of 4,925 rupees. This means the buyer and the seller came into an options contract where the seller will get the 250 shares of Reliance from the buyer at 2,300 rupees and the buyer will give the shares to the seller at 2,300 rupees by March end. The seller, like the example we discussed before about the farmer and the businessman, three scenarios could happen by March end. Scenario 1. If the Reliance shares expire at 2,300 rupees, if the buyer decides not to execute the options contract, then he will lose the premium amount of 4,925 rupees and the seller will keep the premium amount of 4,929 rupees. Scenario 2. If the shares come down to 2,200 rupees, the buyer will execute the order and he can give 250 shares to the seller at 2,300 rupees per share, which means the buyer will have a profit of 2,300 minus 2,200, which is 100 rupees, minus the premium he already paid, which is 19.7 for one share, which is 80.3. Total profit for one lot, which is 250 shares of Reliance, is 80.3 into 250, which is 20,075 rupees. And this means the seller will lose the same amount of money, which is 20,075, as he is getting the Reliance shares at 2,300 rupees, which is actually available in the market for 2,200 rupees. But if the prices of Reliance were at 2,000 by March end, then the buyer will have more profits and the seller's loss would have been much more. The third scenario, if the Reliance shares move up to 2,400 rupees, then the buyer's actual loss will be 2400 minus 2200, which is 200 rupees, plus the premium he paid, which is 19.7 rupees per share. For 250 shares, this amounts to 219.7 into 250, which is 54,925 rupees. But as this is options contract, the buyer has the right not to execute this option. So his total loss will only be the premium amount he paid, and this means the profit for the seller is always 4,925 rupees only. So the same scenario happens for call option buyer and seller, just that the call option appreciates in price when the underlying goes up. So in these scenarios, I hope you understood that a buyer's loss is always limited to the premium he paid, and a seller's profit is always limited to the premium he receives from the buyer. Also, a buyer's profit is unlimited and a seller's loss is also unlimited. So now you might be thinking whether there are any sellers exist in the market. The answer is definitely yes. This is because the probability of the sellers winning is much more than the buyers. Because if you revisit the three scenarios we discussed before, only in one scenario the buyers are profitable, and in the other two scenarios the sellers are profitable. But we will discuss in detail about this in the upcoming videos. So to conclude, basically options are very risky instruments. For sellers, even though the probability of winning is higher, the losses are unlimited. And for buyers, even though their losses are limited, the probability of winning is much lower than seller. So that's it, friends. Hope you got some knowledge from this video. If you like these kind of videos, please subscribe, like and share these videos. Thank you for watching.